Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, March the 8th, race number 7 at Gulfstream Park. It's a wide open first level allowance with a $25,000 claiming option for older horses going a mile on the turf. Let's take a look at this pretty full field. It is sort of a wide open race, Mike. I guess you could make a case for 4, 5, 6 of these horses. Lord of War is one of them, the number 3. Even though he's 0 for 10 lifetime on turf, he's been very consistent in his recent starts on synthetic.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll see if he can, run one of those faster races back over on this surface. If nothing else, Dan, he's got really good tactical speed from an inside post.
U.S. pace projector for this race, and not surprisingly, the number 1, Not Far Now, is expected to get up front. This horse had a very fast pace last time out. Might not have to work as hard to get to the front here, although Timeform US does believe this pace could heat up.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll heat up. I'm a little bit conflicted about that. I have no argument that Not Far Now is the fastest horse early in this race. He has the rail this time. His last 2 starts since they stretched him out, he was drawn to the outside both times. He had to go way too fast in his most recent start. Listen, maybe he'll just come out of there running and somebody will try to press him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to get pretty comfortable up there, though.
Not Far Now spent most of his career sprinting, but he's done some good things since being stretched out in distance in his last 2 starts. As Mike mentioned, he had outside post positions both times. He went gate to wire 2 starts back in a $25,000 starter allowance in the last race. Simply too fast, as Mike mentioned. The first 2 finishers of that race came from 10th and 11th at the first call.
Yeah, that was a really good field anyway. Drawn where he was drawn out in post 12. He actually had to work really hard just to make the lead around the first turn. And then there was just no chance he was going to hold off that field. He wound up getting very tired through the stretches. Race 2 starts back, Dan. I don't know about you. If you look at Timeform US, I believe they have that pace of that race color-coded red as a fast pace. I'll disagree with that wholeheartedly. I thought he walked down the lead that day. That pace to me was super slow. This horse didn't even have to work hard to make the lead that day, and he sprinted on home. If he can get a trip like that in this race, he's very, very dangerous.
That's really the key. The key is how fast does he have to go the opening half mile. The number 2 is James Aloysius, and the key for him is whether he's fit enough in his first start back after 319 days on the sidelines. The last time we saw him was this race, a maiden special weight going 7.5 furlongs on turf at Gulfstream Park, and he ran really well while close to the pace. He beat 4 next out winners. He showed some promise. It's a shame he's missed time, but Danny Gargan does well with layoff horses.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that this horse for some reason, can't find a way to stay on the racetrack. This is, to me anyway, a really impressive maiden win. He got forward in that race, and it almost looked like the only reason he wound up going up to be part of that pace stand because he got hung up 4 wide on the first turn, so his rider just sort of had to go with him. But I liked everything he did after that. When he debuted, his only start as a 2-year-old at Saratoga, he also ran really well that day. He was super green. Trying to close into a slow pace that day, but he ran really well there too. I think this horse has tons of talent. I hope they can find a way to keep him on the track.
The number 3 is Lord of War, and his versatility from a running style standpoint should serve him well. He's been competitive from off the pace, and he's been competitive from close to the pace. He's hit the board in his last 4 starts, all of them over the synthetic surface, including this effort at Gulfstream Park on the Tapeta last month. And we see Lord of War, he's down inside. He was pretty close to this moderate pace, but he has to alter course outside, and he keeps on trying to finish second. He's solid. I do wonder if he's slightly better on synthetic than turf.
I wonder that too. And, I also just sort of feel like, and I won't be surprised when he falls into a real trip here and runs, a little bit better. You saw the trouble he had late in that race we just watched. I just don't, he's not the kind of horse I would want to take, any kind of shorter price on, Dan. Irad's taking the mount here. This horse is going to take some money in this race, and I would just rather have others if he gets bet.
The number 4 is F5, who's going to be trying turf for the first time for trainer Brian Lynch. He's by an excellent stallion. Not this time, he's a little bit underrated with everything. 16% winners with first-time turf runners. There is some turf very deep in this female family. Close up, not so much. The dam was 0 for 10 on the turf, but she ran some decent races on the surface.
Yeah, that's true. I more than anything else, then I just kind of wanted to see a little more turf pedigree if this was the direction I was going to go in. He's a big price in here. So if you like him, I'm not going to try to talk you off him. I did like his debut. He obviously didn't run well when they stretched him out in December. So they'll try a surface switch here. I didn't see enough turf pedigree.
It took several starts for Fredo to figure it out, and he did it with a very nice front-running trip in this race, a maiden special weight at Gulfstream Park last month. He got to the lead, and he really was able to settle down the fractions, and as you see, he has plenty left in the tank to sprint on home. Now he's going to have to do it against tougher horses and perhaps a tougher pace situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way he makes the lead in this race, especially based off of the performance we're just watching there. That he did wire that field, but if we just showed you the stretch run, if you go back and watch the first part of that race, I mean, they basically handed the lead to this horse. Everybody took a hold and rated. They let him have it, and he made them pay at the end. I like the way that he's progressing. It feels like he's getting better with every start. Feels like this trip's going to be a lot tougher for him.
Federal Exchange has only raced once previously on turf. That was last year, and maybe you can give him an excuse. It was a turf sprint, and he's probably a better horse now, but his recent form seems more dirt and synthetic oriented. I want to take a wait-and-see approach, even though he's won a couple of times in his career.
Yeah, he has. I just don't see how you make a case for him against this field just based on what he's been doing.
Volcanic is the number 7, and Volcanic is a horse trying turf for the first time as well. He is by the red hot stallion Violence, 10% winners from first-time turf runners. The dam, though, has foaled 3 turf runners. None of them have won, and this just looks like a complete dirt family.
I looked at it the same way, Dan. I mean, I can't say that I love the Violences on turf. There's maybe a little turf on the bottom of this pedigree, and this horse has shown a little bit of talent anyway. So maybe if you feel like he's going to be able to switch his dirt form over to the turf, maybe this is a spot where he can be competitive. He certainly has shown the ability to rally from off the pace. So if they go fast in front of him, maybe he'll come running at the end. I don't know, man. I don't love this horse anyway. I didn't really want to take him switching surfaces in here. Cassie's worked him on the grass a couple of times, and they're very fast 5 furlong breezes. Maybe that's enough to suggest that he's going to really like the turf courses here, Dan, but I'm not betting this horse.
We talked about James Aloysius as a layoff horse, but he's fresh as a daisy compared to the number 8 Lucky Law, who's been away 676 days off a graded stakes placing at Churchill Downs. That was the American Turf, a race that had a very fast pace, and he got a good closer's trip. Saved ground most of the way behind a pass pace, got up for second. This is a horse that showed ability earlier in his career. Off the layoff, if he could fire that shot, he's probably the horse to beat. It's a big if. 10-1, though, is an appealing price.
Yeah, if he goes off around that price, you could do worse than him. I mean, obviously, that layoff is something you really have to concern yourself with. But this horse showed that he could run the last time we saw him.
Freedom Matters is the number 9, and he's the most prolific winner in this field. He's won 10 times in his career, including his most recent start, a race we're going to take a look at right now. The race restricted to Florida-bred optional claimers, and Freedom Matters got up close to kind of a moderate pace in here, and for a brief second, it looks like he might be in trouble, but he's going to forge by Java Buzz, the co-favorite, in the last 150 yards or so.
Yeah, he at the end, ultimately, he sort of easily gets by this horse. He did have to work to get there, though. I just like more than anything else, I like the ride that Hirad gave him that day. He knew Java Buzz was the horse to beat and the speed. So he just went with him to the front, stayed with him as long as he could, and then finally overpowered him at the end. I like this horse's running style. Overall, his turf form is almost impossible to knock. He's probably going to get another really good trip in here. His new trainer just does great work off the claim. I don't know. I think he's one of the horses to beat in here for sure.
The number 10 Stat got a fig last time out, a 91 buyer speed figure, winning a starter allowance for trainer Safi Joseph. Let's watch the stretch drive of that race. Now, Stat got the fig, but he got the fig with a candy trip. He got to the front. He set a moderate pace. He sprints on home at a big price. Was last time the time for Stat, who's likely to be a lot shorter price on Wednesday.
Yeah, that was the time to have him. He was a great price in here. He got a really soft trip on the lead, and he made that field pay. He did look good winning. I'll give him that, Dan. The race did come back fast. Different trip coming for him in this spot. From an outside post, with that horse down on the rail, with that kind of speed, this horse isn't making the lead in here.
Completing the field is the 11. That's Double Clutch, who finished ahead of Not Far Now, and Not Far Now went too fast on the lead. But as Mike mentioned, that was a quality race. It's produced 3 next out winners, and I really think the winner of that race has a ton of potential for Todd Pletcher. He came back and won an allowance race at Gulfstream on Saturday with a 93 Beyer speed figure. This is not a great post position, but this horse showed enough to be in some stakes races last year. 12-1 on the morning line for really competent and quality connections. He's interesting.
Yeah, if he's around that price, he's a horse I think you at least want to take a second look at. Dan, I was on this horse early on. I thought he looked really good in his first few starts, and I really thought he had a chance to be one of the better 3-year-old turf horses last year. It didn't work out for him when they ran him in those stakes races. He just really wasn't that competitive towards the end of the year, and I wish he ran a little better off the layoff last time. Overall, I thought he got a really good trip in that race, and he just didn't do any running. I thought it was really disappointing. As you've already pointed out, though, it was a really good field. I think Pletcher's talking about a grade 1 for that winner next time.
No, that horse showed a tremendous kick in the lane to beat a quality allowance field on Fountain of Youth Day. Double Clutch is a lightly raced 4-year-old. You could still project a little bit of improvement. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for Wednesday's DRF race of the day. James Aloysius, this layoff is not scaring you off. He looked that good in his maiden win.
Yeah, almost scared me off, Dan. I'll admit, when I first got through looking at him, I was like, I got to find somebody to play against this horse with. And then by the time I got to the bottom of the field, couldn't really find that horse. If he's around, I don't know if he's going to be 6-1, Dan, but if he's around that price, I would take that. I think this horse is good.
Number 5, Fredo's last race was smart. He proved he could do things. And I think he can sit at least close to the pace here. If it doesn't go very fast, in the form he's in, Mike mentioned the progression he's shown from race to race. Maybe he can make it 2 in a row, but he's got to be close to his morning line. I think he's pegged at 15-1, and I need a price in a race like this. 2-9-1-11 for Mike, 5-8-10-9 for me in your Wednesday race of the day. Good luck.